huge support and introducing such noble dedication and fulfilling Gandhi's dream and vision of upbringing our children. The future. Thank you. A video will be played from our site, which will show you the clippings of both the Gandhi Jayanti functions which he did in our locality and institution. Aravind sir, you can play the video, sir. So turn on the audio. First one,
non-violence. Non-violence வந்து எப்படி வேணா மீனிங் எடுத்துக்கு. உங்களுடைய நட்பா இருக்கட்டும், குடும்பத்திலேயா இருக்கட்டும், இல்ல நீங்க பார்க்கக்கூடிய சக மனிதர்களா இருக்கட்டும், அவங்க கிட்ட ஒரே ஒரு முறை நான் வயலன்ஸ்ன்றது வந்து அதே சொன்னது போல பாராட்டி பாருங்க. அது எவ்வளவு பவர்ஃபுல் டூல் உங்களுக்கே தெரியும்.
நாங்க படத்துல வந்து எங்களுடைய மாணவர்கள் மாதிரி ஒரு வரையறுக்கும் இருக்கிற கலைஞர்கள்னா கிட்டத்தட்ட சொல்லிக்கிற சிட்டிங்க இவருடைய டிசிஎஸ் போன்ற அனைத்து துறைகளிலும் நல்ல வெற்றி கொடுக்கலாம். சாதாரண பிள்ளைங்க எத்தனையோ குழந்தைங்களுக்கு பார்க்க வச்சுக்கிறோம். குழந்தைங்களுக்கு அடுத்த வர ஜெனரேஷனுக்கு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணி சொல்றது அது ரொம்ப எனக்கு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம்.
Thank you very much, Raghviji, for introducing World College and its wonderful engagement with various activities promoting non-violence. I now request Ashwin Bhai to introduce Gandhi Research Foundation, a foundation that is working for the promotion of truth and non-violence through wide range of activities.
Thank you, Dr. John. Before I start, I request JC to start a virtual video clip. We have a small video clip about our campus and virtual museum. I request JC.
आपका अच्छा चल रहा है क्या? हाँ चल रहा है, बढ़िया चल रहा है, आवाज आ रहा है, आवाज आ रहा है। आवाज नहीं आ रहा, आवाज आ रहा है, कमेंट्री आना चाहिए ना, कमेंट्री नहीं आ रहा।
So this is our campus at Jalgaon in Maharashtra. The GRF, Gandhi Research Foundation. Thank you, Jesse. The GRF, we have a mission, strive to help establish a world founded on truth, ahimsa, peaceful coexistence, conservation, and love for labor, values cherished and practiced by Gandhiji. Our vision is preserve for posterity the profound legacy of Gandhiji's life, thought, and work. The GRF was established by Dr. Jawaharlal Jain, fondly called Bade Bhau. He was deeply influenced by Gandhiji, whose core principles of ahimsa, aparigraha, and anekantvad he embodied in his daily life. Our first founder, the founder chairman was Justice Chandrasekhar Dharmadhikari ji, and we have a board of directors in which Dr. Anil Kakodkar, Dr. D.R. Mehta, Dr. Sudarshan Iyengar, Mr. Ashok Jain, Mr. Anil Jain, Mr. Tushar Gandhi, so Jyoti Jain, and Mr. Dalit Chand Oswal are the directors of Gandhi Research Foundation. To disseminating Gandhian thoughts and his principle, the GRF works in many segments. Like we have a multimedia museum, as you have seen the virtual tour. That is the Khoj Gandhi Ji Ki Museum. It is a unique multimedia museum depicting the life and work of Mahatma Gandhi in 30 dynamic segments. The visualization of Gandhi's experience not only provides the visitor with insight into his immense contribution, but also acts as tool for the concerned individual in view of tackling contemporary global problems. The ultimate aim of the museum is to bring out a transformation in the individual's thinking by imbibing Gandhi's message. We sincerely hope that the museum succeeded in touching the heart of the visitor and in reaching out, in particular, to the youth to inspire one and all to be the change they want to see in the world. We have academic and research wing. The GRF is committed to excellence in research based on the highest national and international standards and is concerned with integrating applied research in teaching curricula. The GRF will function as a dynamic center of Gandhian research and allied activities to be initiated in stages within the next 3 to 5 years in the following dimensional way by establishing a residential research fellowship program, a student internship program, an annual national workshop, etc. Inspired by the truth and non-violence based life propounded by Gandhi, the foundation has designed a number of applied training courses in the fields of peace, non-violence, organic living, and sustainable development. Notable among the courses offered are the postgraduate diploma in sustainable rural reconstruction. This is a one-year program and an annual winter school on Gandhian nonviolence, a short-term internship on sustainable development, as well as periodical organized soft skill training workshops on conflict transformation, peace building, stress management, and Gandhian leadership. We have archives and library. The library as an excellent resource base can be used by academic scholars doing research projects on Gandhi's or on historical topics related to the Indian freedom movement, in which we have collected more than 12,000 books on and by Gandhi. In archives, we have more than 3.5 lakhs manuscript documents on and by Gandhi and his associates. We have collected philatelical materials. We have some artifacts used by Gandhiji and the primary writings by Gandhi and by his associates like Pyarelal, Tendulkar, Mahadev Desai, Sarojini Naidu, etc. We have initiated Babapu 150 program across the India, in which we have adopted at least 150 village from the different part of India, and we are working. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the in publication at the GRF, we published monthly magazine Khoj Gandhi Ji Ki. The magazine carries an editorial seminal writings of Mahatma Gandhi, essays by Dr. Bawarlal Jain, the founder of GRF, and the detailed report about activities of the GRF. Equipped with its own publishing wing, the GRF has already published literature in Hindi, Marathi, and in English relating to Gandhi and Gandhian topics, which have been well received by an Indian readership. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, this is from Bolivar College. Our chairman would like to address few words. Just a minute.
Good afternoon, everybody there. As you listen, the prime objective of our college is to provide quality, sustained, and employment-oriented higher education based on changing environment, and also for a meaningful and self-supporting life to the economically poor and socially underprivileged section of the society, especially in rural areas. We provide value-based education to cultivate a sense of higher discipline, moral ethics, responsibility, patriotism, social awareness among student community to become good citizens of our country. We have been conducting various programs exclusively for promoting agriculture by supporting farmers. To further enhance our focus towards development of our rural society, we planned to develop nearby Malikodur village as a model village through quality education, financial literacy, sanitation, and technology. We will also educate them to follow truth, non-violence, fearlessness, and satyagraha. This will enable the village to become Gandhian village to fulfill the dreams of our father of our nation. To achieve our goal of transforming this village, we seek valuable guidance and support from all service-minded persons, including your foundation. We take this opportunity to dedicate ourselves to serve for the development of rural population. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Should I start the academic session now? This is Geeta Dharampal. I'm supposed to be chairing. Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you could start.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. After this beginning, I would just like to express how honored I feel and indeed humbled to be chairing this academic session.
Professor Geeta,
Yes.
can I take a minute to introduce you? It is.
Right. Yes, certainly.
I'm very sorry. I was disconnected for a while, so I didn't come in time. I'm very sorry. It's my great privilege to welcome Professor Dr. Geeta Dharampal, and she gracefully agreed to share this wonderful session. Professor Geeta Dharampal is former head of Department of History at the South Asia Institute, University of Heidelberg in Germany. She served the academics for long years and worked in Germany and traveled across the world for academic reasons. Since November 2018, she has been heading the research wing of Gandhi Research Foundation as the dean. Her publications and research foci deal with the topics ranging from pre-modern trans-cultural interactions between Europe and India, the maritime cultural history of the Indian Ocean, the South Asia medical history, religious ritual transformations in India, the socio-cultural and political history of the British Raj in general, with a special emphasis on Mahatma Gandhi's movement of political and cultural resurgence. She brings with her a rich tradition of Indian historic insights of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, and we should listen to her to understand how rich our heritage, our civilizational heritage is on some other occasion. It is my proud privilege to be a colleague of her and here to introduce her and welcome to chair this wonderful session. Thank you very much, Professor Geeta Dharampal. I now invite you to chair the session.
Thank you very much, Dr. John. I feel truly honored and humbled by your introduction and to be asked to chair this academic session of the joint event being convened by Vuluvar College of Science and Management, Madurai, and the GRF in Jalgaon. Now, this webinar's topic is certainly appropriate, for it focuses on an important problem with which we are confronted when endeavoring to come to terms with the COVID-19 pandemic. Social distancing, indeed, it is a misnomer, for it should be physical distancing and not social distancing, so as to avoid the spreading of the contagious virus. But many people, also because they are paralyzed by fear induced by the media hype, have taken this terminology, social distancing, literally, to the extent that all contact with friends, relatives, neighbors has more or less come to a standstill, but we hope this will be resumed after the end of this pandemic. But confronted with this social dilemma or psychological dilemma, we as Gandhians seek sustenance and insights from Gandhiji, who indeed is the ideal point of reference, for, as we all know, he opposed social distancing, which he considered to be an act of violence, impacting on the humaneness of social living, on the human quality of social living. And instead, he underscored the importance of the locality, neighborliness, the community, and the individual's relationship of mutuality, of reciprocity within society. He emphasizes the small scale, and so concepts of his highlight these thoughts, and they have become iconic, like Swadeshi, Swaraj, all aiming at Sarvodaya, the welfare of all. So this problem we want to tackle, how to gain insights about the problem of distancing, social distancing that is occurring today, how we can derive a solution to this problem from Gandhi. And we have eminent experts in the field. So I would like to call upon Dr. John Cheladure to start with his keynote address to discuss, to give us an overview of this topic. And now, as you all know, Dr. John Cheladure, I think an introduction is superfluous, but to follow the protocol, let me just say a few words about him, as he is the established Dean of Academics at the Gandhi Research Foundation. And he did his doctoral research on social conflict at the Peace Research Center in Ahmedabad in 1992, from 1992 to 1995. And then he held the directorship of the India Peace Center at Nagpur from 2003 to 2012. He has given a number of seminars and recently a number of webinars on conflict transformation. I think probably the number exceeds 70, or maybe it's nearing 80 now. And but through his work and his commitment and dedication to the GRF as Dean of Research, he is a pivotal member of this foundation. And now he is going to be a pivotal member of this academic session. So the word is yours now, Dr. John.
Thank you, Professor. Before starting, I should confess that my network is really very weak and I may get disconnected anytime. If I got disconnected, please continue with the next speaker. Friends, once again, my greetings from Gandhi Research Foundation. It's a pleasure to talk to all of you from across the country. Social distancing has become the phrase of the year, perhaps the decade. All of a sudden it came and it caught up the attention of the whole world. Everyone knows now the term social distancing, and the other term is quarantine. Quarantine everywhere. It talks about maintaining a distance, and which is very essential, very timely in a given situation when we don't have any remedy for this infection. We need to safeguard our life and the life of our near and dear one, maintaining a distance. But how much economic distancing between city and village, or urban, rural, rich and poor, is
From speaking down. Shamilji Gulane. Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
I am joined to meeting.
Dr. John? I can't hear you. Ashwin Bhai, should we move on to the next speaker if we've lost Dr. John?
I think we should
Oh,
wait
yes.
at least a minute. Dr. John will join.
I have joined.
Okay.
I'm really very sorry. The point is, sorry for the disruption. I would like to brief my presentation within 10 minutes, including the time I lost. We already have some problem with the social distancing. In such a situation, the term was not properly understood. We need to have a safe distance from our people, not an infinite distance. The news come through the media suggests that we have left our ailing people, corona affected people in the hospital, suffer all alone. Many of them died. Over 100,000 people died in the country, and almost all of them died in loneliness, alone, almost deserted. Of course, there were doctors and others, but none of the near and dear one could go. Government suggested 2 meters distance. We should have understood it properly and maintain that distance, 2 meters. but we maintained infinite distance, and not only the ailing patients suffered in the hospital alone and died alone, but the bereaved families, the families who lost their near and dear one, also led to uh, suffer the pain of loss all alone. None of the relatives came. I think it is too much of a reaction. That is what I feel. In such a situation, we look for guidance from our own scriptures, our own tradition, convention. Gandhi come with a wonderful response. If we read closely into Gandhi, he talks about this distancing in a wonderful way. Not directly distance as a concept, but the idea. He took it as a metaphor, distancing, and he used it very effectively. That is what I would like to share with you. You see, he was talking about life as primary, and we need to uphold life. In order to uphold life, we have created a nation, within that state, within that district, within that village panchayat. But he said state and nation will not serve, because the distance between the power and the people should be within the capacity of the individual to reach. If I am a villager, the power that governed me should be within my reach. That is why he talked about Panchayat Raj, a decentralized village republic he was talking about. We must have a village republic where there will be real democracy, not representative democracy. Representative democracy, we know what is the ailment. We know how it fails to deliver. Now, this kind of optimizing the distance between the beneficiary and the benefactor. Should I continue? I don't know. Uh,
Dr. John, please, if you can just say, take a minute or two just to complete what you're saying so that we don't get too much behind schedule. Thank you, Dr. John. Dr. John, I think maybe it would be advisable and more appropriate than if you were to circulate your concept note. And we will now proceed with Mark Lindley's short presentation because we are running very much behind time. If you agree, thank you. Is Professor Mark Lindley available? Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, right. Hello, good day, good afternoon, Professor Mark Lindley. It's wonderful that you are here. So I think we will continue with your presentation. I'll just say a few words to introduce you, although I don't think you are a stranger to all of us. Professor Mark Lindley is Professor of Eminence at the Mahatma Gandhi Mission University in Aurangabad, and at the same time, he belongs to our first batch of residential research fellows at the Gandhi Research Foundation. He's also authored many books on Gandhi and Kumarappa and dealing with ecology, economics, and health. And this is quite incredible because basically his basic training is as a musicologist. So somehow he's become now one of the preeminent scholars on Gandhi, and we are very pleased to have him here today to present his views on the distancing insights from Gandhi. Thank you very much. The word, you have the floor, or the word is yours now.
Thank
Dr.
you, Gita. My good friends at Gandhi Research Foundation had told me that the title of my talk would be Localization for Sustainability. I think that maybe the reason why the title was going to include the word localization was in order to imply that more wage labor should be done in villages and less in towns and cities, in view of Gandhi's tendency to think in terms of a categorical distinction between villages, which he regarded as inherently good, and cities, which he tended to regard as bad. Gandhi had, as Dr. John mentioned, an ideal of independently self-sufficient village republics. But he knew that this ideal would sometimes be economically unrealistic. So he suggested that villages meet their need for goods from elsewhere by trading directly with each other without letting any city folks get any money for arranging or facilitating the exchanges. He wasn't well informed about the historical thesis that stable villages and towns had first begun to form after the advent and spread of agriculture some 10 or 12,000 years ago had encouraged hunter-gatherers to abandon their nomadic lifestyles and settle down. Agriculture yielded, on the whole, more food than hunting and gathering did, and this rendered a higher level of human population density feasible, and thereby enabled towns, and in due time cities, to develop, together with roads for transporting food to the towns and cities from more or less nearby farms, whereas villages may not need such transportation roads. Now, I believe that direct trading between villages could become more feasible now in the 21st century with the web and with universal secondary schooling than it was in Gandhi's day. I have, however, some thoughts to offer in a more radical vein of theorizing, drawing upon a precept which was first set out in 1973 in a splendid book entitled "Small is Beautiful," written by Fritz Schumacher. Schumacher said that food and fuel are, quote, the primary factors, that is, the most important of the basic factors in a modern economy. And so it would be good to have fewer long hauls, long transportation, using up lots of fuel, and more short hauls instead. I like this idea. And I would also encourage, now in the 21st century, the use of more and more solar panels and small village dams for local production of electric current, which practically everyone in the 21st century needs, with less overall consumption of fuel than is entailed by getting all of your electric current from a central grid. And also small solar cookers for preparing as much of our cooked food as feasible without burning fuel or using electric current. You do have stronger sunshine here in India than they have, say, in Russia. A solar cooker works by concentrating sunlight, focusing it to some extent by means of a mirrored surface, converting the focused light into thermal energy, heat, with non-glossy black cooking pots absorbing the heat and trapping the heat by isolating the air inside the cooker, the air, from the air outside it. Now, as for the small village dams, I think their height should be less than the height of the adults in the village, so that when the dams silt, as they always do, sooner or later, the villagers can wade in and take the silt out without having to use a fuel burning machine. This could become quite important in the long run. Such dams would be, it seems to me, good 21st century examples of striving for Gandhian village Swaraj. And if the government would lend strong support in the form of subsidies and technical advice to the manufacture of solar panels and of solar cookers, then their use to a greater extent in villages could become examples of national Swaraj. Such efforts could be of considerable socio-economic value, even if they don't result in the creation of enough wage labor in the villages to eliminate the need for some of the villagers to emigrate to towns and cities. But let me come now to the radical vein of theorizing, as I called it, which I mentioned a moment ago. I would, for certain theoretical purposes in my economic thinking, define a, quote, 100% rural settlement as a settlement from which it is possible to walk to where all the food that it consumes is grown or is brought in from the sea. I would derive from this notion a definition of a completely rural way of life. That is, one where all the food comes from within walking distance. And so none of it has to be transported on roads or the like and packaged and sold in shops. That's 100% rural. And I would then replace Gandhi's pastoral urban binary distinction between village life and urban life with a theoretical spectrum ranging from 100% rural, which I've already defined, to extremely urban, with each settlement placed theoretically on the spectrum according to the ratio between the total cost of producing, wherever the production may be taking place, its nourishment in fields or from water. On the one hand, between that, the ratio between that cost, and on the other hand, the total cost of transporting and packaging and distributing that food to the consumers in the settlement, and of disposing properly of the waste. Let me give you an imaginary example to make very clear what I mean. A vegan in Antarctica, surviving on tomatoes and beans that are flown in from Australia, would be, according to this theoretical rule of thumb, living in a more urban way than are various folks of Italian descent whom I happen to know in New York and in Boston, and who eat tomatoes and beans that have been grown in their own backyards. They are less urban than that imaginary fellow in Antarctica. Now, I originally devised this bit of economic thinking in the hope that it might be applied in the design of various government programs in the tradition of the Mahatma Gandhi Guaranteed Rural Employment Act for alleviating the conditions of the vast 21st century precariat, which has swelled up so much in the last couple of decades, and which I think may swell up even more in the next few decades. I think such programs should be geared to suit settlements at various theoretical locations on my little spectrum, and should be designed in such a way as to incentivize village folks to migrate, if they feel that they have to migrate, to nearby small towns rather than to distant megacities, and to incentivize some of the people in the megacities to move to small towns, and maybe all the better if the small town is near to the person's native village. This would tend to reduce the share of the nation's costs that are spent on travel and transportation rather than on inherently productive activities. This is why I would replace Gandhi's bad city, good village dichotomy with a theoretical spectrum of settlements rated as more or less urban, depending on the cost of delivering food to them from somewhere else, vis-a-vis the cost of growing and harvesting the food. And I do think it's not a good idea for so many folks in India to be traveling long distances, sometimes desperately, across the subcontinent so often as is the case nowadays. I think it would be an improvement if a lot of them took shorter trips instead. So I thank you for your attention, and please pardon me for suggesting that it would be good if certain kinds of distance in India, namely the average distance between where people live and where the food they consume is harvested, and also the average distance between the residences of people who love each other but live in different settlements, were reduced in order to reduce the amount of time and energy that is spent on transporting and traveling across those distances. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Mark Lindley. This was really a very insightful, short piece. It would be nice to have it in writing at some stage, but thank you very much.
It is in writing, and I will post it and tell you where it is posted.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. Then may I call upon our next speaker, Professor Palanti Ture. Sorry, I may be mispronouncing the name. A retired professor at Gandhi Gram University. Is he online? Is the professor online?
Yeah.
Yes,
ma'am.
Please.
Yeah,
I would request you, after I would introduce you very briefly. You are the former dean at the Gandhi Gram University. And you've had 27 years of activity as an academic activist. You have experience in teaching, in research and outreach programs, and you are the authority in India on the Panchayati Raj. Now, today we would like you to speak on the decentralization for democracy. We look forward to your very short input, just 9 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your nice introduction. Let me at the outset congratulate both institutions for having a collaboration for a very meaningful and purposeful work with the young minds in the colleges and universities. Hello, kindly mute. Yeah. I'm sorry, kindly mute. Oh, I want to, direct upon a very important theme, decentralization. After, hello. Hello.
ज्याचं
Kindly
हे
mute.
ज्याचे दोन
Hello.
डोके व्यायाम असेल त्याचा खूप
Hello, please
Who is
speak,
regulating?
and
Kindly mute
the
all
others
the
should
problems.
should mute. The professor should be allowed to speak, and therefore the others, all other people should be on mute. Thank you.
Yeah. So I am not a Gandhian scholar or not a Gandhian, and I am an activist working with people with passionate ideas to empower the poor and the meek and the weak in the rural areas. Most of the occasions we find in India, Gandhi has been portrayed and he worked only for the freedom struggle. Substantial work of Gandhi is on rebuilding India, creating a new social order for which he worked. Completely we have forgotten that contribution made by Mahatma Gandhi, and we are not injecting that kind of ideas into the young minds. So in that context, I mean, what is working in the villages? In the pandemic period, what we found in a small village, the Panchayat Pradhan completely, I mean, guarded the village by creating barricade. Nobody can go out from that village. Nobody can come inside the village. And those who are coming inside the village have to get a certificate that they have no, positive and negative. Then only they will allow. But for about 20 days continuously, they allowed the people to have their own activities in the villages. Villages are very active during the pandemic period, that we have to understand. Even today, our economy is being supported only by village economy. So far, we consider that, what is there in the village, it is only livelihood in the village. But, all activities have been supported by the village Pradhan. And as a result, people were not confined only in their houses. But at the same time, in a proper communication, as Mahatma Gandhi has given to the people, they have given, the Pradhan has given communication to the people and followed it. And for 30 days, absolutely very active, and they protected everybody and did every work in the village, which provided that, concept to them, because they are internally very strong. They thought that community can work joined together, and people, those who were in that villages as a single-headed family, they provided food, everything they have given. So the panchayat system, if you have a pradhan, if you have a leader, panchayat leader with an idea, sense of commitment, they can create a happy life in the villages, number one. Number two, Gandhi is deeply ecological. So that is why he developed a transformational framework deeply embedded on the harmonious relationship between the nature and the human being. But unfortunately, Gandhi has created a new consciousness when he was in the thick of the freedom struggle. But that consciousness has been changed after we got independence. What is the new consciousness we created after independence? That is for economic development, economic advancement, material advancement. As a result, what we found in India, completely the exploited villages have been continuously exploited, and reduced villages are beneficiaries and get the benefits whatever have been doled out by the government to these people. But a new opportunity has been created after seeing the implications of modernization, westernization, industrialization, all those things. They found that unless we create a decentralized governance unit at the village level, you can't solve the problems of the people in India, whatever may be the schemes you have evolved, because more than 2,000 schemes have been evolved over a period of time from independence till date. But yet you are not in a position to provide basic minimum facilities to the people to lead a decent, dignified human life in that villages. So in that context, that has been provided to the people. Now, a Gram Sabha has been created to empower the people, empower the meek and the weak. People, original people, I mean, in the past, what they have done, I mean, for basic things, I mean, they come to the road, I mean, they agitated and raised noise. But now they created a Gram Sabha, a constitutional body, people's parliament. They can transform their noise into voice. In such a way, opportunity has been created. If an individual is able to perceive the decentralized political activity, economic activity, social activity, and a leader can guide the community, a real Swaraj can be attained only through this. What we need is a transformed individual as a leader. Gandhi never considered them as a leader, but a sevak. What we need is a sevak for every village. But now I find large number of villages, I mean, youth are working together to create such a kind of self-sufficient villages in empowering the people, cultivating organic, propagating organic agriculture, all kinds of activities the youth are doing. And I feel that they are the new Gandhians working in a new context to offset the ill effects of globalization, privatization, and liberalization. And the Gram Swaraj, it is a holistic development process. It is not for material advancement, it is for a human growth. If the humanness is being grown within, I mean, because that is why Gandhi talked about external sanitation and internal sanitation. That could be, I mean, cultivated among the people in the villages. That is possible through decentralization. So in that context, decentralization is a best vehicle to realize the Gandhian ideals of Gram Swaraj. And for that, we cultivate, we prepare sevaks in the name of village panchayat pradhan. If we are Gandhian institutions, if we are in a position to do it, it could be achievable. But one request to the Valluvar College, because you have Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. In our country, we have 1,000 universities, 40,000 colleges, 12,000 research institutions. If all these institutions are moving towards the villages, working with a community, I mean, the whole of the village life can be changed, not towards, the urban life. And really a Gram Swaraj can be achieved by providing needed technology, needed science, appropriate technology and appropriate science to them. And they need a new consciousness in the pandemic period. What is a new consciousness? To lead a simple life, I mean, lead a harmony with other community, lead a life of harmony with nature, and protect the nature, protect the people, and lead a harmonious life in the villages. I mean, removing all kinds of ills afflicted our rural society so far. This is a best time to realize, I mean, how Gandhian framework can be contextualized to redeem the situation in the villages. I mean, in that context, I request the Valluvar College to work a few villages, I mean, through the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, and make these villages as model villages for many other surrounding villages. If you work with that kind of activities, I will be with you. I will support you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. This was a very enlightening GVV Prasad, who we have the honor of his participation in our webinar. I'll briefly introduce him. He is the managing trustee of the Gandhi King Foundation. He's one of the eminent Gandhians in India, but is also very well known in the global community. He worked for long years with the Sarvaseva and the Sarvodaya movement. At the moment, he is one of the most active organizers of webinars. But we are very, very pleased to have him here with us today. Please, may I request Professor G.V.V. Prasad to give us a small input, not longer than 9 minutes, on the topic Sarvodaya through Antyodaya. Please, Professor Prasad.
Thank you, Professor Geetaji, and I'm very happy to see many known people, Dr. Mark Lindley, Palanithurai, or John, Ashwinji. Good evening, everybody. I'm very much pleased to be here to participate in this wonderful program. We are talking about distancing, maybe in the context of COVID, but this distancing I understand from the Gandhian perspective in a number of ways. Gandhi talked about segregation in Hindu Swaraj. He talked about railways spread plague. So the concept is very much there. And there is also another aspect in which Gandhi used this expression. That is, he talked about boycott. There is also distancing with something and avoiding something. Then Gandhi's, in fact, I would say that I refuse to shake hands with you if that relationship is going to be detrimental to my interests. This I would like to say in the context of villages, which Professor Palanithurai also raised, and what goes from the villages to urban areas and what comes in exchange. If we see, there is enormous amount of exploitation. Like you buy something from the urban areas, the price tag says 999 rupees 99 paisa. But when I take my products like tomatoes to the market, they say 2 rupees. So you determine the price of what you produce, you determine the price of what I produce. How can there be justice to me? Therefore, essentially, we have created structurally systems where there is always a gain to one party and a loss to another party. And Gandhi said in this context, we hug the chains that bind us. This is what should cease. Therefore, the consciousness should be whatever is going to be evil, whatever is to be detrimental for me, I should avoid that kind of a contact. I think I take that as a message of this particular webinar. Coming to Sarvodaya to Antyodaya, Sarvodaya happens to be a very fundamental concept of Mahatma Gandhi. That is the welfare of all. Gandhi never accepted the term greatest good of greatest numbers. No, it is not the democratic principle of the largest number. That is 51 versus 49. Gandhi did not accept that. Gandhi's dictum is always welfare of all. That is the greatest good of all, not greatest good of greatest numbers, greatest good of all. And this concept, as you all know, is picked up from John Ruskin from his book, Unto This Last. That means even the Sarvodaya should start from Antyodaya, the last man in the society. If you do not take care of the last man, there will be revolution, there will be violence, there will be hatred, and all kinds of maladies can be possible in a situation like that. Therefore, this concept of welfare of all is not only we talk about the welfare of every single individual, every single human being, but it is also the foundation of that concept is equality of all. Unless all of us are equal, there cannot be welfare of all. Therefore, by birth, we are all equal, whether it is irrespective of caste, creed, religion, language, region, color of skin, whatever be the denomination, they cannot create the high and low between people. So by birth, all human beings are equal. This is what it very emphatically, Sarvodaya very emphatically declares the equality of all human beings. Then after that, it is not only the welfare of the human world, Sarvodaya invariably means the welfare of the animal world or the subhuman world, and also the non-living world. That is, we respect even the rock, the oceans. Can you pollute the oceans? Can you pollute rivers or air? So how Sarvodaya is very emphatically reminding us as to what are the limits to my existence, what I should do, what I should not do. Having come onto the planet Earth, as I'm going to be being with so many people, fellow human beings, what is my responsibility? Can I speak lies to them? Can I cheat them? Can I hate them? Can I insult them? Can I exploit them? So if I should not do all these things, what it means is a life and a code of conduct in my own life. Gandhi talked about it in the form of Swaraj, that is self-rule. Self-rule or self-control, control the mind, control the passions of superiority, passions of greed and things like that. That's the reason why Gandhi brought in this in the concept of Swaraj or self-rule, what we should do, what are our responsibilities to the other human beings. So it is like the Ekadash Vrata Gandhi has prescribed, that is Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Sangraha, Sarira Srama, Aswada, Sarvatra Bhayavarjana, Sarvadharme Samanatri, Swadeshi, Sparsha Bhavana. Essentially, this kind of a practice or a commitment to the Ekadash Vrata for those people who believe in Sarvodaya will make them a good human being and also a good citizen. Unless we are very conscious to be a good human being, having concern for our neighbors, having concern for others. And this is possible. When I want to live a life of Sarvodaya, I need to embrace the concept of Swadeshi, which our Professor Mark Lindley was talking about, Professor Palantre was talking about. I should not have too many desires. That is the greed versus needs. I should confine my living to my needs rather than looking for greed or desire for unlimited accumulation. Once I have that kind of unlimited accumulation as an objective in my life, I'll become a monster, I'll become a Rakshasa, and I will destroy the very human nature. Therefore, equality, greedless society, then environmental sustainability, we have to work. When I talk about Sarvodaya, it is respecting nature, living with nature, and going within the nature's laws and without violating them. Today, whatever environmental problems we are having, they are all the outcome of man's misdeeds. And animals never transgress their limits. Animals never destroy the environment. Therefore, we have to learn. Man has to learn from the animals a lot. Therefore, Sarvodaya is a beautiful concept, extremely wide concept. It is a concept which prescribes our own dharma, our own method, our own lifestyles, which Gandhi talked a lot in the Hindu Swaraj. And that's the reason he also started the Phoenix settlement in 1904, then 1910 Tolstoy form, and back in India he started 3 ashrams basically to prepare satyagrahis, those who practice Sarvodaya as a lifestyle. Thank you very much. It's a wonderful webinar. I really enjoyed. I thank both Gandhi Research Foundation and Valvar College for collaborating and doing a great event like this. I'm so grateful to all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prasad, for your insightful input. And now I would like to call upon our last speaker, last but not least, Professor Natarajan, who is the chairman of the Tamil Nadu Gandhi Smarak Nidhi at Madurai. And he is also an executive member of the All India Gandhi Smarak Nidhi. He has been that since 2008. And he was also in the 1970s a very active member of the Sarva Seva Sangh, and has been on the Senate of 2 important universities, the Gandhi Gram Rural University and the Kamraj University. I would like to request Professor Natarajan to give a short input to enlighten us on the topic of nonviolence as a way of life. Thank you very much. It is a great honor for me to be able to chair a session where you are attending and to be able to participate in, to derive inspiration from your input. Thank you very much. The floor.
Chairman, Geeta Dharampan, I am not a professor. I am a field worker and a non-violent way of living. I have been given this topic. I would like to take you to my village, native village. Some 80 years ago, how it was. A glimpse of that village will be sufficient to work for a non-violent way of life. In those days, 80 years back, my village is near Tiruchuli, birthplace of Ramana Maharshi. Some 1,000 people used to live there. All are mud houses. Even big landlords used to have big mud house. Very convenient to live there. In the summer, it was very cool. In the winter, it was warm. Now, most of the activities were performed in front of the houses in the open air. So there was no difficulty in dwelling there in these houses. Education, so two teachers, Christian teachers, brothers, were there. They were very sincere in their work, and they were kind to the students, and they gave very fine education to the students up to the elementary level. Then about the health, there was a Malayali Swami lived 2 kilometers away from the village. There was a mat, there was a drinking water well, surrounded by herbals, medicinal plants. Any ailment was there, immediately they would rush to the Malayali Swami. They would read the pulse and then give some powder or some juice from the herbs. 2 or 3 days, everything will be all right. Out of 100 cases, more than 95 cases will be cured. Only 3 or 4 cases will be referred to the doctors at Arupukotai, the nearby town. That is he didn't receive any money for that. Whenever he
Sir, your audio is muted, sir. Sir, your audio is muted, sir.
all right now?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Then, as far as cultural activities is concerned, there was a Pavai Kotu. Pavai Kotu means the pictures are drawn on the leather, Rama, Sita, Ravana, like that. One man, it is so efficient voice. He would recite the entire Ramayana and Mahabharata. Even the young age, 70 years, 8 age, we could understand Ramayana and Mahabharata through this Pavai Kotu. Then one storyteller used to come. He used to stay there in our village for 7 days, telling stories. And he would make the audience, 1,000 people there, to weep. Such a nice way he was telling the stories. Then there is the drama. One teacher from Madurai used to come and stay there during the summer holidays. He used to train the boys in playing the roles of Damayanti, Savitri, Abhimanyu, things like that. After 1 or 2 months of training, there would be Arangetram. The entire village would be there. They were garlanded by notes, by vadas, by flowers. It was a very happy day. And one man, a neighboring man, he played the role of Yamadharma. He was a hairy-chested he-man. He came and stamped his stool on the floor as a Yamadharman. Everybody was trembled, but he was very kind to me because he was my neighbor. So every young boy was full of dialogue, reciting, songs. The entire cultural requirement of the village was satisfied fully during these storytellers, dramas, and pavai kutus. No need to go away for seeing cinemas and other things. And what not. These are the things, cultural, entertainment, education, health, and dwelling. Our village was surrounded by paddy fields, banana, cotton, and other millets. So there was no need for marketing. We produced things for our own consumption. There were enough grains in all the houses, but no money. This is it. So many boys studied in that elementary school are now working in Chennai, Coimbatore, Virudhunagar, Aruppukottai, so many other places as doctors, as engineers, software engineers, and agriculture officers. From this village, so many people are there. My younger brother, one Balakrishnan, was settled there in Houston, America. For more than 50 years, he is there. He is settled there as a mechanical engineer. But emotionally, he lives there in my village, even now. After retirement, he got some money. He put that 25 lakhs of money to build the dilapidated building of the elementary school. So every time he comes here, he rushes to the village to see the people there, his old friends, things like that. So this is the fertile ground for developing Gram Swaraj according to the ideals of Mahatma Gandhi. Unfortunately, during the Constituent Assembly debates, our villages are not considered very important. What is there in the village? It is a den of ignorance, sink of parochialism, and narrow-mindedness and caste. That is, the village should not be the foundation of the Indian Constitution. More or less, Nehru also sided with this idea of Ambedkar. So after independence, some 43 years were wasted without this experimenting with Panchayat Raj and the local self-government. Now, of course, the 73rd Amendment has come, Panchayat Raj is there, something is going on. But I think if we Gandhian constructive workers and the government allowed these village panchayats to flower into Gram Swaraj, India, a fertile India, an India to show to the world a new way of life that we have lost. Anyhow, let us try the context of the 150th year of Mahatma Gandhi birthday. If I have time, I would like to say one more thing. One Mr. Bob Swan in Massachusetts, he arranged for a lecture tour of Schumacher, the author of Small is Beautiful. After successfully conducting this tour, he wanted to publish the book Small is Beautiful after 25 years of its first publication. His friends told him that, what are you doing? Why this book? American economy has gone away from this concept of small is beautiful. What is the use of publishing this book?
Okay, sir.
Let us try. Keep on reminding the people about these things. So now I read in the New York Times article by Tim Wu. By the established logic of the business world, main grains, a small miller of flour in a rural part of the state should not exist. With some 20 employees, it mills about 2,000 tons of flour a year in an industry where larger companies can mill more than 20,000 tons a day. Grain has long been a commodity business, and milling is driven by size and scale. Yet, tiny mills like Maine Grains and small brands like King Arthur Baking Company and Bob's Red Mill are thriving. They raise a bold question. Could the flower of all products suggest a better path for more of the US economy? I would like to quote another sentence. But King Arthur is most distinguished by its corporate structure. It is a private company owned entirely by its employees. It has about 350 and run by two chief executives. It is also a benefit corporation, which means that having a positive social impact is part of its legal corporate mission. Ralph Carlton, one of the company's chief executives, says that its different structure leads it to act differently from their companies. Being accountable to our employee owners means we have to take them into account, he told me. We don't believe in growth for growth's sake. We are not under external requirement from stock owners or market analysis. So we have to wait for the thoughts of J.C. Kumarappa, Mahatma Gandhi, and Schumacher to take root in our soil. Let us try our best to keep this message alive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Natarajan, Shri Natarajan, for your really very reflective input. It's a shame we have to be aware of the time. I think the results of the competition, the elocution competition, are being awaited eagerly by the participants. So I would like to very briefly, in a couple of minutes, summarize what our discussion so far. And I would suggest that the inputs should be published, should be given in writing. And so we can have a little slip publication on this topic. I think this would be a good idea. Maybe both institutions can reflect on how to do this. But let me just summarize, give you a few words in summary. I will not add too much of my own. I would like to first say something about Dr. John's overview of the topic, where he was dealing with how Gandhi viewed the topic of Swadeshi, Swaraj, Gram Swaraj, and Naitalim. And there's the question of how society can function on an optimal scale, and for ensuring the well-being of all in a humane and satisfying and productive manner. In this context, the category of the family could also be mentioned. And Gandhi, I think Gandhiji also thought about the family because the relationships were often defined by those of the family, the suffix bhai, ben, and bapu for himself, father. And this was to bring people closer together. He rejected social distancing. He was not in favor of hierarchies, and he didn't consider himself a leader. At the Gandhi Seva Sangh conference in Malikanda in 1940, he specifically stated, "You are all my fellow students and co-workers, fellow servants, fellow researchers. Nobody is a leader and nobody is a follower. I am eager to see Gandhiism wiped out at an early date. If any sect is established in my name after my death, my soul would cry out in anguish." This was said on the 22nd of February, 1940. It's in the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi. I think we should reflect on this when we are offering our respects to Gandhiji. We have to try and de-fetishize him. We should not make a cult of him, because that engenders a kind of distancing. Another aspect, apart from Swaraj, Swadeshi, and Sarvodaya, I think another aspect that defined Gandhi's activities and his life was the concept of karuna, compassion in action, whereby the whole of all living beings are united. There is no distance between them. I am because we are. There is, if you are suffering, if somebody is suffering, it is as though you yourself are suffering. So you attend to the other person's need. And I think this notion of karuna should be practiced from a Gandhian perspective in times of corona. Thinking of how to alleviate the suffering of others. You can have physical distance to a certain extent, but not social distancing. And another matter that we could be thinking of today is that we, in a way, through our webinars, we are trying to repudiate physical distance by having, by communicating with each other using modern technology for the best advantage of our own needs and our, in a way, I would not say that we are doing something un-Gandhian, because Gandhi was not completely against machines and technology. He did not want machines to control humans. He wanted humans to control machines. And if we can use technology to the best advantage, derive benefits from them as we are doing today, I think we can acquire a closeness, a nearness in the intellectual field. We can understand each other. This would not have been possible even in BC times and before Corona times, where we would not have been able to meet so many people in a couple of hours, just without having to travel great distances. But today we are able to do this, perhaps not completely optimally due to the problems with the connectivity, but we are able to do this. We are able to supersede the physical distance. And I feel that the other inputs by Mark Lindley, I think this is an important aspect that he has talked about, rather theoretical. And Palaniture's talk, input on grassroots democracy and people's empowerment, I think is very important, and it gave us hope for the future. The way people's empowerment works at the functions at the local level is very important, and we're seeing this in these COVID times. And G.V. Prasad's input on not only on the importance of boycott and non-cooperation as a way of using distancing, but on the on thinking about Gandhi's talisman, that we should focus on satisfying the needs of the lowest of the low. This should define our actions in life, and therefore the distance, the social distance between the wealthy and the poor should be lessened and mitigated also through the practice of trusteeship. That could be emphasized. I felt that Natarajanji's description of life in a village, almost idyllic, 80 years ago, a very fulfilling life, holistic, from the point of view of health, education, economy, entertainment. It was very satisfying. I wonder whether we are going to be able to achieve that. Maybe I don't see that then there has to be necessarily a linear progress. Maybe we can have certain glimpses and certain experiences of this kind of holistic and very satisfying life in the near future. I do hope so. And with that, I will conclude. I would have liked to say more, but I don't want the people who are waiting to be disappointed. And I would, however, suggest that we have a publication on this topic, and then I would present a short contribution for this publication. Thank you very much. And now the rest of the program should continue. Thank you, Dr. John and Ashwin Bhai.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
मेरा आवाज सुन सकते हैं? हेलो, मैं सुधीर पाटिल गांधी रिसर्च फाउंडेशन से हूँ।
सुधीर भाई, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है।
हेलो, हेलो, आवाज आ रही है? हेलो, आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
हाँ, मैं सुधीर पाटिल गांधी रिसर्च फाउंडेशन से हूँ और सब लोग बेसब्री से इंतजार कर रहे हैं ये राष्ट्रीय प्रतियोगिता के रिजल्ट्स के बारे में, लेकिन ये प्रतियोगिता के बारे में कुछ बात कहना चाहता हूँ। हेलो, हेलो,
जी जी, आ रही है आवाज, आवाज
हाँ,
आ रही है।
हेलो, गांधी रिसर्च फाउंडेशन द्वारा इस वर्ष महात्मा गांधी जयंती के अवसर पर ऑनलाइन राष्ट्रीय वक्तृत्व प्रतियोगिता का आयोजन किया गया था। कस्तूरबा गांधी और महात्मा गांधी जी के 150वें जन्म महोत्सव वर्ष में गांधी रिसर्च फाउंडेशन द्वारा विविध कार्यक्रम किए, जिसमें प्रमुखता से शैक्षणिक, वैचारिक, सामाजिक, पर्यावरणीय संतुलन, आरोग्य विषयक कार्यक्रमों की श्रृंखला संपन्न की गई। महात्मा गांधी जी ने संपूर्ण भारतवर्ष में ही नहीं तो विश्व स्तर पर अपने विचार एवं शुद्ध आचरण से आदर्श निर्माण किया गया है। उनके आज की प्रासंगिक विचारों की यह धरोहर अगली पीढ़ी तक संस्कारित होना अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण है और इसी उद्देश्य से संस्था द्वारा राष्ट्रीय वक्तृत्व स्पर्धा का आयोजन किया गया था। यह स्पर्धा के लिए 3 गुट बनाए गए थे, जिसमें 5वीं से 8वीं कक्षा में गांधी मेरे हीरो ये विषय को रखा गया था और ये गुट के लिए कुल मिलकर 770 स्पर्धक सहभागी हुए थे। 9 से 12 ये दूसरा गुट था। कक्षा में टोटल 651 स्पर्धक सहभागी हुए थे और तीसरा गट था वो जो अंडर ग्रेजुएट पीजी लेवल का, और जिसमें टोटल 220 स्पर्धक सहभागी हो गए थे। संपूर्ण भारत से प्रतिसाद मिला और अधिकतम महाराष्ट्र, गुजरात, मध्य प्रदेश, उत्तर प्रदेश, हरियाणा, तमिलनाडु, केरल, उत्तराखंड, गोवा, कर्नाटक, पश्चिम बंगाल, ओडिशा आदि राज्यों से भी स्पर्धक सम्मिलित हुए थे। और इतना ही नहीं, गुजरात विद्यापीठ से में पढ़ने वाले जाम्बिया देश के विद्यार्थी ने भी सहभाग लिया था। यह खास विशेष रहा। ये प्रतियोगिता की चुनाव प्रक्रिया इस तरह रही। प्रतियोगिता में 4 स्तरीय चुनाव हुआ। हर स्तर में समिति ने वीडियो का अध्ययन करके स्पर्धकों की शॉर्ट लिस्ट बनाई गई। इस पूरे प्रतियोगिता में टोटल 1925 रिस्पॉन्सेस हमें प्राप्त हुए थे और प्रथम स्तर में तंत्रज्ञान से संबंधित विषयों की जांच करके ये समिति ने 1641 जो फिल्म्स है, जो वीडियोस है, उनको चयन किया गया था। और इसके बाद दूसरे स्तर पर विषय के संबंधित जांच हुई और उसमें शॉर्ट लिस्ट किए गए 169 शॉर्ट लिस्ट वीडियोस आपने सभी ने देखे होंगे जो सोशल मीडिया पर अपलोड किए थे। और इसके बाद में तीसरे कमेटी ने ये तांत्रिक एक लॉजिकल और एथिकल कंसिस्टेंसी को नजर करके एक छोटा शॉर्ट लिस्ट जो 53 वीडियोस का था वो हमारे अंतिम जूरी के पास गया था। और चौथे राउंड में हमें हमारे जूरीज ने, सम्मानीय जूरीज ने इसका निर्णय दिया है। ये प्रत्येक गुट में 3 विजेता है, एक प्रथम है, द्वितीय है और तृतीय है। और ये सारे परीक्षकों ने हमें ये आज थोड़ी देर में आपको सबको पता चलेगा। प्रतियोगिता के लिए स्वैच्छिक भाषा का पर्याय उपलब्ध किया था। विद्यार्थियों ने वक्तृत्व में अपनी मातृभाषा में अधिक स्पष्ट विचारों का मंथन किया। प्रतियोगिता में युवकों से अधिक युवतियों ने सहभाग लिया और यह बहुत उल्लेखनीय बात है। यह प्रतियोगिता हमारे लिए महत्वपूर्ण रही। अपेक्षाकृत अधिक प्रतिसाद मिला। हमारी टीम ने कार्य को विभाजित किया, जैसे अलग अलग समितियों का गठन किया, जिसमें प्रतियोगिता कोर समिति थी, तांत्रिक समिति थी, प्राथमिक चयन समिति थी, द्वितीय चयन समिति थी और हमारे सम्मानीय परीक्षकों ने अधिक परिश्रम से ये विजेता घोषित किए हैं। इन दौरान स्पर्धक, पालक एवं उनके गुरुजनों से फोन पर भी बातें हो रही थी। विविधतम प्रतिभावान छात्रों ने उनके प्रदर्शन बहुत असंस्मरणीय रहे। विद्यार्थियों में वक्तृत्व की अलग अलग झलकियां हमें प्रभावित कर गई। कोई नेता बने, किसी ने इतिहास के पन्नों से अपनी बात रखी, कोई अपनी दिल की बात किताब में गांधी जी की खोज करते हुए दिखाई दिए। गुरुजन माता पिता के मार्गदर्शन की छवि भी हमें दिखाई दी। यह अनुभव हमें नई उमंग दे गया, कुछ नए विचार भी निश्चित रूप से दे गए। इस प्रतियोगिता के लिए हमें जो आदरणीय परीक्षक हमें मिले हैं, वो आदरणीय प्राध्यापक डॉक्टर विश्वास पाटिल साहब शहादा से है और गुजरात विद्यापीठ के पूर्व कुलपति आदरणीय डॉक्टर सुदर्शन अयंगार जी धर्मपुर से। इन्होंने अपने व्यस्त कामकाज में भी न्यायपूर्ण परीक्षक रूप में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान किया है। सहभागी स्पर्धक, गुरुजन, पालक एवं गांधी रिसर्च फाउंडेशन की टीम की ओर से आप सभी का हार्दिक धन्यवाद हम अदा करते हैं। इस प्रतियोगिता के लिए मुख्य रूप से मार्गदर्शक रूप में सम्मानीय अंबिका भाभी जी, अंबिका जैन, समन्वयक उदय महाजन सर, शिक्षा इकाई के डीन डॉक्टर जॉन सर, प्राध्यापक अश्विन झाला जी, नितिन चोपड़ा जी, इन सभी ने हमको सहायता दी है। उनका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। प्राथमिक परीक्षक समिति के साहित्यिक ज्ञानेश्वर शिंदे जी थे। अनुभूति स्कूल के शिक्षक हर्षल पाटिल जी, इनका विशेष रूप से धन्यवाद मैं अदा करना चाहता हूँ। गांधी रिसर्च फाउंडेशन टीम के प्रमुखता में चंद्रशेखर पाटिल जी, योगिता चौधरी जी, अशोक चौधरी, विश्वजीत पाटिल जी, दुर्वास नलगे, अनुभूति स्कूल से पार्वती गोस्वामी और हुसैन भाई जी, इन्होंने हमें बहुत सहकार्य किया। उनका बहुत मनपूर्वक धन्यवाद। अद्ययावत तंत्रज्ञान संयोजन के लिए योगेश संदान शिवे जी और जगदीश चावला जी, भूषण मोहरेर, चेतन पाटिल और हिमांशु पटेल जी, आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और ये इसमें एक महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है जो लॉजिकल एथिकल कमेटी के सदस्य प्रोफेसर गीता धर्मपाल जी, श्री अश्विन झाला जी, डॉक्टर जॉन चिल्लादुराई और
अरे खबर छे बेन।
ये सारी जो प्रतियोगिता थी, हम सभी ने बहुत ही अच्छी तरह से उसका आनंद लिया और मैं जल्द ही ये रिजल्ट के लिए डिक्लेयर करने के लिए मैं आमंत्रित करता हूँ। ये प्रथम गुट का जो रिजल्ट डिक्लेयर होने वाला है, वो उसके लिए मैं आमंत्रित करता हूँ आदरणीय प्रोफेसर श्रीमान जी वी प्रसाद सर जी को।
Namaskar. It's a wonderful program to organize competitions and bring out the talent, the young people. And now we are going to announce the best performers for Group 1. This is a national education competition held on October 2nd by Gandhi Research Foundation. In the best performer in group number 1, the third position is going to Mugdha Vijay Yagnik from the age 10 from the school Pratap Vidya Mandir, Chopra district, Jalgaon. Congratulations, bahut badhai. You got the 5th class itself. You got a wonderful award is the third position in the best performer in Group 1. Congratulations. Now I will announce in the Group 1, the second position will go to, in Group 1, second position will go to Pradeep Gonkar, 13 years of age, from Silver Jubilee High School, Barshi District, Solapur. Congratulations. I wish your growth in Gandhian knowledge will proceed like this so that you become a goodwill ambassador. Pradeep Gonkar from Barshi in Solapur district. Now we'll go to the first position in group number 1. Are you all waiting for that? The first position is going to Anvi Prabhakar Jaybhai, age 11 years, Prabhat Kids School, Akola. Congratulations, it's wonderful. You just won a first position in the Best Performers Group 1 in the national level elocution competition. Congratulations, you look like a great speaker in the picture. All the best, all the best.
धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर श्रीमान जी जीवी प्रसाद सर। हम अभी दूसरे गुट के तरफ चलेंगे और आई एम नाउ रिक्वेस्टिंग प्रोफेसर जी Palanithurai sir to declare the result of group 2.
Let me congratulate all the students who participated in the program because in the pandemic period, they took effort and they participated. Large number of participants evinced keen interest on this. So let me congratulate all the participants who participated in the competition. Coming to the results, I congratulate all the winners and God bless you. Now I will read out the names. Elocution competition group 2, best performers. The third position, Vishnu Priya Saxena, age 16, school Dayawadi Modi Academy, Modipuram. Congratulations. The second position, it goes to M. Aisha Shamiha, age 14, Little Flower Public School, Tirunelveli. Congratulations. The first position, it goes to Nikita Dattatre Gawade, age 16, Girls English Medium School, Hadapsar, Pune. Congratulations. God bless you. Thank you.
धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर। सभी विजेताओं का हार्दिक हार्दिक अभिनंदन और शुभेच्छा। और हम चलेंगे तृतीय गट की तरफ। आई एम नाउ रिक्वेस्टिंग रिस्पेक्टेड के.एम. नटराजन जी, आप थर्ड ग्रुप के लिए विजेता घोषित कीजिए। धन्यवाद सर।
National level elocution competition, third position, Nikita Kumari. Second position, Bhakti Arvind Deshmukh. First position, Shubham Rangarav Patil. Congratulations to all students. Thank you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और सभी विजेताओं का विशेष रूप में सभी का अभिनंदन है। और इसके बाद ये सूत्र में राघव जी के पास सुपुर्द करता हूँ। धन्यवाद सर।
Raghaviji. Before Raghaviji get into the winners of the elocution competition will get their winners prize and certificate sooner through their mail. We will contact the winners for their bank detail, and they should provide their bank detail. We will deposit the prize money promptly. That we will do in the next couple of days. And for all the shortlisted persons and other participants, we are issuing a participation certificate that will come online. You have to take a printout. That will be done sooner. Now I request Raghaviji, Vallur College would like to announce a special prize for the winners. I request Raghaviji to announce it.
Yes, sir. Aravind, sir, you can put the photos of the wall hanging. So, it's first of all, I would like to extend a great congratulations and my sincere appreciation to all the winners of the competition. So, this is a special gift from our institution. So, this is the handcrafted wall hanging, which was done completely by our fashion technology department students in our institution. So, we have designed it much before we could fix a date with this Research Foundation, and before we could plan all the webinar. So what we thought from the day one when we decided to make this handcrafted wall hanging, we wanted to give it to the right person at the right time, because it is not an easy job for an ordinary man to understand the sayings of Gandhiji. There should be someone who has all the capacities, who has all the right position to receive these kind of wall hangings. So at the right time, we found the Gandhi Research Foundation conducted this online elocution competition, and the titles which was mentioned in their poster was wonderful, and we could see the large number of participants and their beautiful work, which through the elocution competitions, how well you have performed. I think this will be the right gift for you all. We will be couriering it to you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. So the winners will get prize money and also a wall hanging, handmade wall hanging by the students of Vallur College of Science and Management. Thank you, Raghaviji.
Thank you.
Now we have come to the last part of the webinar, the vote of thanks, and followed by the vote of thanks, we will have the national anthem, and then we conclude with the permission of the chair. It's a great pleasure to have learned scholars and thinkers, activists speaking on one of the current theme, social distancing, and bring out the best insights that would make life optimum, sustainable, and workable for all people, not for a group of people. I particularly thank Professor Dr. Geeta Dharampal for efficiently chairing the session and also bringing the summary of the whole presentation. And particularly, I thank her for conducting the session within the stipulated time. I thank respected K.M. Nadarajanji for bringing alive a visual of an ideal village and say where lies a sustainable life, where lies non-violence as a way of life in the neighborhood. And I thank him in spite of his difficulties. He was part of us and guided us in a wonderful way. Thank you for him. I also thank Professor Dr. G. Palanithurai for his insight, particularly in the realm of Gram Panchayat, Gram Swaraj, how decentralization would be not only workable, but essential to make the local community a place worth living. Thank you very much, Professor Palanithurai. I thank respected GVV Prasad ji, who brought from his world of learning an insight to understand how Sarvodaya, welfare of all, would be possible by connecting with the neighborhood through a number of small anecdotes and examples. I also thank Professor Mark Lindley, who on account of another webinar, he left from our midst. I thank him for his insight on local economy. I thank the Valluvar College for joining us in this joint event and make it a wonderful occasion. I also thank the team of Valluvar College and also GRF, which made this program possible, particularly the technical team, JC and other friends, for arranging the logistics. I should also thank Arugya Samiji and others who were the technical team of Valluvar College for supporting us. I thank Ashwin Bhai, my colleague, for being with us and introducing the Gandhi Research Foundation and other friends who were doing a lot of work to make the elocution competition possible. We had the names, so I'm not taking their names again. I thank all the participants who were part of this webinar for patiently listening to the learned scholars and also enjoying the ceremony of prize distribution, result declaration. I also thank the administrator of Gandhi Research Foundation, particularly Ambikaji Jain, Uday Mahajan, and all other seniors for making this occasion a possibility. Similarly, I thank the administration of Valluvar College for envisioning such a joint program and making it a possibility. We look forward to work together in the days to come. We have a lot of common agenda. That is a area in which we can collaborate. We can train your students. We can provide exposure possibilities on appropriate technology, particularly in our area. We are looking forward to such joint venture. I thank one and all, and with the permission of the chair, I would like to call the seminar over. And now I request the VCSM team to lead us into national anthem.
Arvind, sir, national anthem.
Yes, ma'am.
Jai. Thank you, Raghaviji. It was a wonderful experience to associate and work together. Looking forward to have more such occasion.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure for us as well to work along with you. We will surely work towards and make a serious contribution to the society, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Geeta ji, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. John, and congratulations. This was a really very inspiring event, and it was a delight to see the winners. I wish all the participants all the very best if they're still there. And thank you. It was a very good opportunity to know about Welver College, and I hope to, in the future, to interact more closely with them without any social distancing. Thank you very much indeed.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.
Looking forward to work along with you. Of course, very in the near future with all the back to normal days. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you. Palnitureji, thank you. I'll call you later with regard to a joint program on Gram Swaraj when at the earliest possible time. JC, thank you. Thank you for hosting on our behalf.
Hello.
Oh, yes.
नमस्ते सर, आई एम अक्षय फ्रॉम इचलकरंजी कोल्हापुर। बस यही कहना चाहता था, अच्छा वो कंपटीशन था, ऑल ओवर इंडिया से इस कॉम्पिटिटर इस कंपटीशन में थे, तो बहुत अच्छा लगा। तो ऐसे ही कंपटीशन आप आगे भी लेंगे, भरोसा है। बस इसमें इतना ही कहना था कि जब अपना परीक्षण हो तो एलोकेशन कंपटीशन है, तो कोई अगर पढ़कर एलोकेशन कर रहा है तो ऐसे को डायरेक्ट नॉमिनेट किया जाता है, मतलब ये डिवाइड किया जाता है ऐसे कॉम्पिटिटर को। तो फिर भी अपने इसमें विनर है कोई, तो ठीक है, बाकी अगली बार इसमें ध्यान रखिए, बस इतना ही कहना था।
थैंक यू। थैंक यू।
ओके, थैंक यू।
மேம் ராகவி மேம் மைண்ட் அப் பண்ணிடலாம் மேம்.
Yes, sir. Panidla, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you.